A couple of weeks ago I had a swarm abscond from neighboring property here, one of my swarm of bees, and I just brought the empty box back and I put it in our garage. I've got a veranda corrugated sheet garage, and completely unplanned, unexpected, a swarm moved into that box. Now I haven't cleaned the box wasn't prepped for bees, but today we're going to go and see how they are, and while we're busy with that, I'm also going to go and check on a swarm that we had in our garden now for the better part of 2 years. There's some interesting experiments there that I want to check up on, and of course you'll be part of it. Thank you very much. So you see there's a bee right in the middle there doing a funny wiggle, a funny sideways, circular, come back again, and there's a few bees clustering around it. And what's happening there, and also if you notice on the legs of it, on the pollen baskets, there's quite a good harvest of pollen there. So what this little one is doing is telling the other bees where she found it, and that's done through what's called the waggle dance. So she's going to walk around this whole comb and she's going to tell everybody where to go to get that pollen that she's got. This hive is not in a very good condition. Well, the swarm is doing good, but the hive not so much. Like I said, this was one of the hives of mine that a swarm absconded from, and it was sitting in the workshop, and I had a bit of wax moth move in, so this wasn't prepared to get a swarm. But it just goes to show how driven bees are to come into a swarm, into a box like this, and still do their utmost. I haven't spotted the queen yet, but there's lots of eggs, lots and lots of eggs. Now this is a hive of mine that I experimented a little bit with. You can see the condition is much better. There's no wax moth in here. This was not an accidental swarm moving in, this was actually planned. But if you look at the frame here, what I did as an experiment is I put skewer sticks on the vertical, so you can see the two vertical skewer sticks, and there's actually no foundation in these frames. They're actually foundation free, and as you can see, the middle section of those three, very nice and clear, that's brood. You can see around there, you can see the comb is actually built across. And this is what's called crown honey, or the crown. And it's nice to see that they're actually incorporating those sticks now, because it took them a while getting used to it. But it's also interesting in this case to see how they segment. So the third on the right hand side, that's got honey in it, and only honey. So if I do this, you can see the shiny bits in there, that's honey, and then a bit of capped honey there. You move over to the middle section, you see these cells with the brown caps, brown cappings. That's actually brood, that's worker brood, and then a little bit of capped honey on top there. And again, if you move over to the far side, completely different function. You see those big cells there? Cells are a lot bigger than on this side. So if you compare the size of these cells with the size of those cells, you see these are much bigger. Those are drone cells. Drones are the male part of the bee family. All the workers you see here is female. So I'm very happy with the state of this hive, and also with that experiment with the skewer sticks. So this is the hive that we just fixed now. To give you an idea, got all the bees out of it. This swarm comes from another property, and what happened is that ants came in. Now, you know those small little black sugar ants we call them. Here's a shout out to James Beath. If you do watch this, you were right, I didn't pay attention. Those little ants are a problem. So the bees come in, the ants come into the hive and they're too small. The bees can't actually sting them, and they start harassing the bees, and eventually the bees will up and go, they leave. And then what happens is you get a thing called wax moth. Now in this case it's lesser wax moth. We also have a greater one. They come in and they lay eggs, and if you see that little caterpillar thing there, that's the larvae of these wax moth. And you also notice the damage it's causing on the wood of the hive itself. And then in the bottom there, that's what's called frass. That's the excrement of these wax moth larvae as they eat the wax and burrow into the wood. So this swarm has now been successfully relocated or transferred over, and they are happily living here now. Box is in much better condition. It's a clean box that I just happen to have. So all of the bees are now living in their new accommodation. Brand new box for them. It's actually a nice strong swarm, and I've got high hopes on this one. Keep you posted. Subscribe, like, share, and keep watching. Thank you very much.